Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to show you those 11 things which you need to do whenever you are moving from prototype to production, especially when you are building AI agents. So this would be more on theoretical side, but it will give you pretty much every aspect or pretty much give you many pointers you need to think about whenever you are building AI systems. So let's get started with the very first one. So define your requirements and objectives. So clearly outline the goals of the AI system, what problems does it solve, and what are the success criteria. So we need to understand the scalability requirements as well as the expected user load. So these are the few things which you need to consider whenever you are doing requirement analysis and whenever you are trying to identify the objectives of why you are building an AI agent. Then the second thing is the prototype development. So you can start with the bare minimum product, which is like a minimal viable product MVP, which focuses on core functionalities. So you can go with the rapid prototyping tools and languages for quick iterations, and make sure to collect the feedback and reiterate on the design whenever you are getting the feedback which requires you to change something. Then we do have the architecture design. So choose an appropriate architecture based on the application. Now this completely vary depending on what kind of application you are building, but make sure that you have done the thorough study of your architecture. Then ensure that it supports modularity, allowing for easier updates as well as the scalability. So these are the key constraints which you need to keep in mind whenever you are building application with AI capabilities. Then we have a model selection and training. So select the right AI model that fits very well for your use case. Consider the factors like accuracy, speed, resource consumption, how much you are okay to pay. So all these things you need to keep in mind. Then you also need to train and validate the models based on the diverse data set to ensure the robustness. So definitely you cannot decide on just one model and go ahead. You need to try and experiment with different kind of models which are meant for that particular domain. So once you are good to go, once you have selected your model, then you are good to go. Let's talk about the infrastructure and the tooling. So this is another key factor which you need to think, and it would be great if you will go in sequence how I'm mentioning, because that's how we will move from prototype to production ready. So select a cloud provider, or you can also go for the on-prem infrastructure depending on your needs, and orchestration to manage the deployment and the scaling. So employ your CI/CD pipeline for continuous integration and deployment, and ensure that automated testing is happening and smooth updates are on its way. So these are the key things you need to think about whenever you are deciding your infrastructure. So CI/CD is the main thing here along with your infrastructure selection. Then we have a testing in the validation phase. So conduct extensive testing including unit test, integration test, and the system test. So perform load testing and the stress testing to identify the performance bottlenecks for your system, and ensure that the system adheres to security standards and the privacy regulations. Let's move on to the next one, which is monitoring and logging. So implement robust monitoring tools to track the system performance. So you can also use logging systems to collect and analyze logs, which can help you in troubleshooting and performance tuning for your future scenarios. We do need to think about the deployment. So whenever you are doing the deployment, make sure that you are doing it in an incremental fashion to reduce the risk, and ensure that there is always a room for rollback. There may be a possibility that your previous version was much better than the one you have just deployed. So ensure that rollback procedures are in place in case of any such issues happen. Then we have the scaling. So plan for horizontal scaling by adding more instances or nodes as demand increases. But you also think about auto scaling features which are provided by your cloud provider to automatically adjust resources based on the load. So these two factors truly depends on what kind of infra you are selecting, whether you are on-prem or over the cloud. Then comes the maintenance factors. So continuously monitor the system for the performance and user feedback to identify the key areas for your improvement. So these are the very good points which you need to consider if you are planning to improve your system and you are thinking to make it more robust. Then you need to update the models and the algorithms as and when new one comes in. So most of the time, whenever new version is, it is always better than the previous one. But again, do your thorough study before migrating onto the latest versions, because there may be scenarios where the latest version is not that stable, or it is not the perfect fit for your use case. So it's not necessary that whenever update is coming, you will just go ahead and take the updates. You need to do a thorough study there also. But make sure that you are keeping an eye for those timely update of your models and the algorithms as and when business context evolves. These are the key factors which we need to keep in mind. Then comes the compliance and ethics. So this is the last point which I need to discuss. So make sure that your system is compliant with the relevant regulations depending on which industry or which organization you are building this AI application. So review your system regularly for bias and fairness thing, then make the necessary adjustments to maintain the ethical standards. So these are the few pillars which I have discussed, and that's all I have for today. So if you are following all these guidelines, all these steps, you can effectively transition your AI system from prototype to a scalable production ready solution. So do let me know if there are any other points which I need to include in it, and I will make a note of it. Thanks for watching.